It's been an absolutely crazy 24 hours for anybody that's into crypto. Over the past 24 hours, or matter of fact, a little bit less than that, we have again seen some pretty record-breaking liquidations with $1.2 billion worth of positions getting wrecked, about $1 billion worth of longs, and about 750 million of that is in the past 12 hours. It is crazy to watch, ladies and gentlemen, specifically coming from the idea that just like 2 days ago or even yesterday, I don't even remember anymore, it was just an absolutely destructive market. Yeah, roughly about 2 days ago or so, we had ourselves one of the worst liquidations ever, or at least in years, and today marks the second biggest one in at least the last many months. Now, there's a few different events that everybody is watching for that could have caused this massive move in price. On the one hand, what we are talking about now is geopolitical conflict. But I'll do a little bit better. There's a plus one. The two main political concerns that are going on right now are one, a US government shutdown. The odds of a US government shutdown by October 1st are now at about 2/3 or 67%. In the past, a US government shutdown has resulted in massive market corrections, and this is why the market is panicking. And now one part I do not want to spend much time on, but I quickly wanted to showcase on my screen just now. So for all the listeners that are not watching their screen, this shall not be named too properly here, but let's just say it like this. Russian foreign minister says an entity has basically declared something onto Russia that is not bullish at all. Now, there's some reports going back and forward. My analysts have come out to say that this, for the markets in a negative sense, is taken way out of proportion, and most likely this has not got the biggest of effects, as people are mistaking this news slightly, or let's just say they're over exaggerating how heavy this news is. What I will say though is really remember that in a few months from now, you'll wish you were this guy that was adding when the markets were going down and not panicking. Remember that whatever comes up must at some point come down. On this channel, we've been calling for a $3,900 ETH. We've been calling for a lower XRP, a lower Bitcoin, not necessarily a lower Solana, a little bit of a surprise, but I see it all as a gift. And as long as the market doesn't crash by some astronomical percentages, I'm actually quite happy. Specifically because of the strategy I always have in the description down below. It's my bot trading strategy, because ultimately what this does is, even though they are in some massive losses right now, these are volatility bots that make a ton of money on the way back upwards, or basically meaning they make money as the price moves. The more volatile, the more money that we make. And sure, you may not love looking at this right now. You may not love looking at your portfolio right now, but let me tell you, the amount that my bots are cashing out right now, even though the floating P&L is awful, is pretty freaking crazy. And that's the thing, these are all longer term strategies. I will also say though that from almost no angle is the market in a really dire spot just quite yet. I know this may look dark, but if a move like this already wrecked you or made you absolutely depressed, you've been playing the game wrong. Because even though it is scary, remember, during the live stream, I opened an XRP trade at $2.71. I actually closed it just now at $2.80. Why? Because it was some nice profit on a very short term, and because we don't necessarily know what the market is doing here. And I already have I think nearly $10 million worth of positions open on random ass altcoins. Besides my normal altcoin holdings, I think it is wise to stay away from some of the crazier leverage right now. Because even though we know that these are the greatest assets we have ever seen, and this is the greatest transfer of wealth we will ever witness, I will again remind you that whatever comes up must come down. Every single one of the markets right now, let me quickly actually point out to a post a little bit above here. Every single thing is moving in an interesting fashion. Interest rate cuts. Well, stocks go up, crypto go down. High inflation numbers. Stocks go up, gold go up, and crypto goes down. Geopolitical conflict, or at least supposedly so. Stocks again up, gold again up, making an all-time high. Crypto again going down. It is quite interesting. Anyway, I will remind you that the S&P is at the strongest rally practically ever. It feels like, at least. It's not fully true, but the recent couple of weeks feel like they're going faster than ever. Taking a look at it, this has been one of the strongest decades in stock market history. S&P rallied 105% since 2019, on track for one of its strongest decades on record. At this pace, the index will surpass the plus 189% recorded in the previous decade. And by contrast, 1999 to 2009, I should say, period saw a 24.1% decline over an entire decade. That's kind of scary, but again, it's 2009, so the crash was included. The strongest decade seems to be from 1989 to 1999, with about 315% gains, absolutely massive. And the question is, could the S&P return 200+% this decade? Well, we've got about 4 years left, something like that, and it can definitely happen. And if you are wondering about Solana, by the way, if this is one of your primary holdings, matter of fact, comment down below which one your biggest crypto is. Please don't put the amount of money you have down there, but just which coin you're most excited about. For most people in my chat, it is always XRP, but maybe it's shifted. So let me know down below. Here's a person that's, just for fun, I'll tell you, confirmed got hundreds of millions of dollars under control. So, we take his words with some severity. He said, if you believe we are still in a bull cycle and October, November is going to be good, then SOL below $200 is pretty much a gift. Nothing fundamentally has changed with Solana except for even more bullish news. For what it's worth, I'm a buyer sub $200. And to this, I'll state, really, as long as you've got some conviction, some confidence, really all it takes to get to the top is study something. It could be multiple different coins. It could just be one thing, and go for it hard. And you'll see that right now, Solana at 200, you can be the person eventually when SOL hits 4,000 that went really, really crazy on it, had to wait a long time, maybe like 5 years, who knows, right? Maybe it's 10 years. But all of a sudden afterwards, you come out as a freaking genius. And that's also because Sol Big Brain has a post where he's buying up hundreds of thousands, I think, of Solana even. I'm going to say hundreds of thousands of dollars, but I think millions of dollars of Solana. Tens of thousands of confirmed Solana, but I think maybe hundreds of thousands of Solana at like $15 a coin or so. And now at 250, you can see how beautiful that must have been, right? But again, at those low prices, most people got scared instead of buying. And now I keep repeating the same thing. If the market goes down and you get scared, I understand it fundamentally that, okay, your coins go down, so, not so good. But you should rewire your brain to see it as a good thing. And as long as you're not overly stretching yourself from the get-go, you should use these opportunities to the best of your ability. And that does not mean you full port the moment that the market comes down a bit. As I told you just now, and this is not financial advice, I always have good amounts of money on the sidelines, but it depends. Have you already got yourself a house? Have you already got yourself some cars, some watches, maybe some everything? At that point, or maybe you've already set your kids up for college and this, maybe you have no lifelines that you need to keep anymore, or you already have them all set up, let's just speak it like that. You can go a bit crazier on the risk. I would deploy even harder if that were to be the case. If you've got nothing, you've got $1,000 in a dream, I have the same philosophy. Go for it hard, because if you lose it, well, you might have to start working again, maybe grilling some pizzas or whatever, but at least you risked it to win the biscuit, all right? And I mean, Plasma, for example, also just launched, absolutely crazy. Anybody who interacted with it has basically gotten, I think, $9,000 or so, even if you just deposit like $1 ever, which is pretty crazy. And it made me realize if you really are a crypto person, you really are doing your best. You've used Aster, used Hyperliquid in the past, you used Plasma just now. That's a lot of freaking airdrops you would have gotten. But that's mostly for people who play around, they keep themselves up to date, and they try a lot of different things. Now, there is also a big theory going around that right now, a lot of the selling pressure on the market is coming from the Binance people, let's just call it like that, and it's coming from exchanges. It's a coordinated attack. One argument that is a pretty valid one is CZ did warn just a few days ago, saying, hey, take it easy, take a little calm pill, and he was doing those push-ups. And I said back then as well, whenever he says these type of things like take it easy or the dip should be bought or be careful with leverage, all these things, whenever he warns or states it's a good time, he's usually right. And I really am going to say this again. I think if you want to successfully trade the market, if you have him on your freaking forehead, you should not have it on your forehead, you can't see it. Have him on the front of your screen. This might sound really, really strange, but I really think he's the most influential and best signal for anything in the market right now. This might change, but this is my personal thoughts. Have your notifications on, of course, for my channel. But more importantly for that guy right now, I'm just being honest with you, it is, I think, the highest return on time or effort you can get right now. Here's also a little trolling post if you want to feel bad today. 𝗓𝗏 said, if you made no money before the sell-off here, it is probably time to seriously consider giving up forever because we're never going up again. I mean, Bitcoin went to $120,000 a coin and he made no money. Please just quit the industry for the sake of your parents' pride and give up. But of course he's joking. I will say one thing though. Remember a few days ago when I said, hey, at some point when things start to look too good, you got to sell off perhaps. And we talked about Hyperliquid, for example. Let me quickly find Flood here. Maybe I can quickly find him while I'm talking. I told you before, though, when some people start talking about the craziest of craziest trades, sometimes it's smart to actually exit positions, even though I'm not the biggest fan of it at all. What basically happened here, right, is he started posting a while back saying, hey, if people start congratulating you on the trade, it's time to close. Been a wild ride. Thank you, Flowdesk, for the quotes and execution. Point being here, this was at about, what, $55 a hype or some, and just now it hit 40. I was showing you guys a lot of people who were selling off their hype at that point. Even our Mr. 𝗕𝗓𝗀𝘀, what's his name again? Our Arthur Hayes is his name. He also sold off, I think, a few tens of millions of dollars worth of Hyperliquid, publicly maybe 80 mil or something, I forgot. And here comes the thing. If we just look at those bigger signals of massive purchases, not necessarily just whales, but important characters who know their market inside and out because they're invested, meaning they invest in either the company or the token beforehand. They don't always have insider info, but very often if they, even though they've publicly been supporting it, and Arthur Hayes said, I believe 128x is coming for Hyperliquid, but they sell? I think from a risk-reward perspective, same for Binance. If they now all of a sudden, if we see massive flows from Binance to something happening to Aster, which I don't think is going to happen, but hey, we see that. Sometimes it's just wise to follow the money in that sense. Even though you may lose because the market all of a sudden goes even way crazier. I am not saying short it, a lot of people would be. I'm not the biggest fan of shorting when most of these assets are all up forever. But I'm sometimes now more a pro of it's wise to sell some to try and buy back cheaper or just be happy with the profit that you've made. And so very soon on a lot of these bots, I'm going to give it some time. I need some more profit in them. But you're going to see a slight change in strategy as well. Just now, I've been really consistent with keeping all the grid profits in. It was mostly just to show you guys the results per day and how it's been running and all that type of stuff. But in reality, it is almost never the best idea to keep grid profits doing nothing. Like, what's the purpose of it? I've got 17 Solana here running, about $3,500 made over the past 2 weeks here, with no purpose at all, just sitting there acting as margin. I want to be able to use that again, either open a new bot, open it bigger, or do something. And I realized one more thing, and this is just a personal note. I should really have two separate bot strategies because I notice a lot of the people copying along, they don't fully understand why I sometimes have multiple. And there's often a difference between longer term strategies with significant sums of money and shorter term bull market portfolios. So this, for example, is more of a bull run bot. You can see lowest price range, $180. You have to understand that it doesn't look that big. It only looks like 370 Solana, which is about, let's say, 90,000. But you have to understand that at the bottom of the range, because of the 5x leverage I'm using, right now it's trading 1,500 SOL. So right now, this can go significantly bigger, but it's already got itself about a $300,000 Solana position. And it basically maxes out at, let's say, almost $450K, something like that, $450,000 at 180 or 178 per SOL. And that's what the range is doing. It basically purchased the full 5x at the bottom. If you want to have something that you don't got to worry about, don't got to look back at, it is wiser to have a way wider range. But that also means that your effective leverage is lower in case the market does not go as low. But it just depends. In this case, for example, it'll only buy the full 200K XRP, or let's say the full $600,000, 610, something like that. The moment we hit $2.20 per XRP, so this we've got a little bit more leeway for. And if we look now, it's only about $300,000 long as well, even though the investment is double as big almost here. Like it's just 50% larger, and we're down even way more, funnily enough. It's bought a lot less because the range is bigger, bigger. Yeah, actually, there we go. Anyway, if you want to join those, for the most part, it's beautiful because it's all automated and we're making tons of money. On the P&L side, we're down, but remember this. If I'd kept XRP on its own, if I'd kept an XRP position, I'd be down. Now, at least, I'm down with a lowering average price, which is nice because it's buying on the way down automatically. But more importantly, every single dip it has in the middle, at least we make money. So from any angle, it is better for me at least than just holding XRP or just holding any coin. I would never do it again, just holding a coin instead of something like this if I had realized it earlier. I do have some coins still lingering around, but that's mostly because it's just inconvenient to move. But as you can see, over just a few, okay, you can't fully see it or how much I have in the account, but over just a few months here, I've already stacked up a few $1 million in this account. You can't see the full account size, you can only see part of it, but hey, it's okay. I think after leverage is still maybe 4 or something like that $1 million we've got, so nominal value, let's call it. And we're planning to increase it, like I said, throughout the next couple of months to at least $10 million minimum. But that is, of course, not going to happen if we go to zero. But this type of moves, especially what you're seeing here, if we, for example, go slightly more down and then have a nice bounce, that's obviously where you make the majority of your profit. And if I take a look, right, at the 𝗕𝗓𝗪bots, take a look at this just for fun. It's already up 13% in just 4 days, purely off of volatility. It is that beautiful. Here, we've made 1.3% in just about 1 day, even though it's not really been that volatile since we opened this one. And it's a super wide range, so I expect it to be slightly less even. But amazing, absolutely beautiful. I love seeing all this. And I've been trying stocks. I don't think they're worth it, as a little side note. I think because of the fees, like from borrowing, like unless you're doing this with even higher leverage, I don't think the volatility is enough. Even with NVIDIA, which has been pretty volatile, I don't think the volatility is enough to make it worth it. So I might be closing that or upping the leverage and upping the amount, because this is nothing, right? It's been 2 weeks, we made $1. It's on only 250 times 5, so 1250, but still, this is nothing. Also because ever since I opened it, the price has been going pretty fast, and for some reason I put 185 as the top. Not sure exactly what happened there. So it's also not really long anything, so yeah, I might have messed up there as well a little bit. Anyway, that's been going on. Market an interesting spot. Don't be a little wuss, all right? And I made a video on Twitter before. You know, go take a look at this one.
Hold the line! The crypto market is falling right now. Every single coin is dropping. My portfolio is in the red. No, everything is going down. If